Thank goodness Alan's people put him through all this as a fetus. It's the amount of collateral damage for me. Hey guys, it's your girl Laisha, aka GeekXX Chic, and we are back with another reaction to Invincible. We're on season 3, episode 4, which is called You Were My Hero. So that does not sound like it bodes well. It feels like something maybe we might be expecting to hear from Oliver, potentially, because we know there's a little bit of tension there inside the Grayson household after last week. Oliver, he took his first life and he doesn't seem to be very regretful over it. And it seems like Mark and Debbie are at a bit of a loss of how to explain to this child why having this power comes with all this responsibility when he's so young and still has this kind of almost hero-like worship of his father and the way his dad handled things. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, we just see that Debbie's in a new relationship for now. Mark's still adjusting to that. And yeah, we saw that the new Guardians, without half their team did not do very well. Things did not go as planned. So they're definitely going to have to figure out something to do as far as augmenting the team and doing it quickly, because as it stands, they really are not equipped to deal with any fresh threats. So, oh, and of course the big reveal, which is that Angstrom Levy in some way, shape or form is still alive. So what does that mean? What is he after? He's watching the Grayson family. I'm curious as to what his motives are. So without further ado, let's jump into the episode. Just before I do, though, a reminder that if you'd like to be in the know of when I drop episodes, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell. All right, that out of the way, let's get into the episode right now.
We need groceries. No one's gonna cook for us anymore. What did you guys do before, back on Teen Team?
Ate junk food.
And I lived off delivery pizza, ramen noodles,
Sounds
and
about right.
coffee.
So I ate junk food, like I said.
So you're actually gonna make us dinner tonight?
I'm gonna try. Is this
What
a
is that?
zucchini or a cucumber?
I didn't even get that far.
I was about to say, I don't think he would be the one to ask.
I want to make dinner, Rex. I
Right?
want to buy groceries, prepare a meal, and then eat it.
Right? Like, not everybody's a slacker there, Rex. I mean, I know you weren't trying to be mean, but truthfully, people do put effort into things sometimes.
Parmesan cheese. I like cheese. How about I'm in charge of that, okay?
You want to be in charge of
Look at him
cheese.
trying to help. We're growing, Rex. That near death. Maybe that bullet through the head actually fixed a few things.
Whatever you want to call it. I got it covered.
What's going on in the background? I knew they wouldn't show that bus for nothing. Okay, you hate public transit.
Just signed up for an ass kicking. Come on, Ray.
I think Ray really just wanted to cook dinner, do something mundane for once after having a whole near-death experience. Interesting to see the different ways that her and Rex were handling that, hey?
Fascinating.
I'm glad you're impressed.
Okay, Spock.
Wouldn't this go faster with your undivided attention?
This is about analysis, not attention. And it is not the only pressing issue on my plate.
Don't do
Right? It's not all about you, Mark.
that. Don't ask. By the way, we're ordering pizza for dinner.
Should we just be more normal?
How's that possible?
You can't tell me anything about it.
It's of Earth origin, and it's extremely sophisticated. That's all.
You should be careful.
Sorry.
Whoever.
Ma'am, this is who she is. This is who he is. What do you want? I thought you don't need Cecil. Why are you here, Mark? You can do it all by yourself. Yeah, you thought he only kept that in your head, Mark? I told you that.
What are you doing here, Mark?
Yeah, what do you want?
You know that's a felony, right? Might even be treason.
Or do you not care about the law?
Don't lie to me, Cecil.
He's not.
If we wanted to spy on you, you'd never know it.
Exactly. You never knew before.
The next time you decide to punch your way into the Pentagon.
This is not over.
Okay.
Well, that was a terrifying way to start my morning.
Right? Sorry.
What do we do if Mark decides he doesn't believe us?
We hope to hell that doesn't happen.
Right? What can we do?
We are spying on the Graysons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but not with this.
But not with this, Donald.
Right? Nuance. Come on. But that's basically it. Like, Mark, you could have been like, okay, if this is not you, then help me by figuring out who it is. That's the mature response.
You have no idea how much I wish I could say that.
Oh, you guys again.
We had a good reason to steal the Declaration. Millions of lives were at stake. They still are. We're from the future.
In case you haven't picked up.
What are you even talking about?
Also, if it's a time machine, can't you come back later or earlier?
You think they would have shown up if it wasn't pertinent?
Maybe you're not the hero we thought you were.
Ooh,
Guess not.
not the guilt.
I really thought that line would work.
Just for the try. That's all right.
Yeah, I'm not ruining our date just because.
I can't believe they got you with that, Mark.
But you're already here. We'll prove we're the good guys. And if you help us, we'll give you back the Declaration of Independence.
You two better really need me.
I'm sorry, Mark. You might as well stay if you got took that easy.
You're already on thin ice, buddy. Where can I stash my clothes? Hey. Was that?
We'll ask later.
Every day, you're allowed to go out to your work camp or attend a public execution, if it's a family member. But that's about it.
Wait, start at the beginning.
Now you're asking the right questions. That's one of my first question we got here.
It was before our time. Slowly, he went mad.
Can we see the face? Is it the immortal?
Mandatory work camps, prison for dissenters.
Robots.
When he personally took 10 cities off the map for resisting. That's when the rebellion was born. We tried to stop him, but
Okay, no, he's moving like a Viltrumite.
So, your king is super strong, almost impossible to kill, and has ruled for hundreds of years?
yes.
In a nutshell.
Is he a Viltrumite?
I was about to ask. What's that?
We don't know what that is.
Right? Maybe he was smart enough not to tell you.
That ought to get some attention.
Like, maybe we should...
Halt, citizens. You are in
Could we have given
violation
Mark
of
a
the
little
King's
more of a,
curfew.
like, a recon? Like, can he...
They're the royal guard. There's millions of them. They enforce the king's madness on the people. But before you...
Maybe we should have let him finish that sentence, Mark. There's a lot of impetuousness happening right now.
No. We don't need you to fight them. We actually want to be captured. It's the fastest way to see the king.
Oh, that makes sense.
Well, you should have said that.
They tried!
You are in violation of the King's curfew and subject to immediate imprisonment and/or execution.
I want to know the king's name, too.
Yeah, we know.
Quite frankly, we're not resisting anymore. But yeah, no, this is not a very pragmatic approach, guys. Like, a little recon would not be a hard thing. Mark can fly. Like, if there's anybody who can go over there and just take a little peekity, probably without being seen, it's Mark.
Invincible. We've been waiting for you.
Uh-oh. This is why I said recon's important.
What's gonna happen to them?
Execution.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No! Stop the king! We can take care of ourselves.
You're just gonna yell out the plan? Longest hallway ever.
Okay, asshole. Whoever you are, it's over.
Really? The immortal.
Immortal?
I was right. Why is he doing this? What made him snap? Interesting twist. Okay.
Have you been sick again? I thought they found a cure for you.
This isn't about me. What are you doing?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I left you to rule?
Don't act like you don't remember.
He doesn't.
Immortal, I know you. Work camps?
You don't know this
Killing
one.
innocent people? Wars?
And this is not the you that you remember?
Kate. I don't know that name. Is that the red-haired woman
You say it's
No,
from the
not Eve.
future or the
Kate.
past, so there must be a different timeline.
I've outlived everyone I've ever loved. Do you know what that does to a man?
Afraid I don't.
Century after century after
Mark is
century.
19.
I'm sorry, Immortal, but I can't stay here, and I'm not cut out to run the planet.
That's not what I meant.
He means take me out, bro.
I can't believe they thought 2 guards would be enough for us.
They have more, bro. What do you mean? Listen, you know, they're pretty, but not the most diligent, you know, not the most thorough.
Maybe the me that you know would kill you, but I don't do that.
You left me here. You made me into this monster.
Sounds like you chose to be this monster, though, Immortal. Although I don't know what the other Mark was like.
Or you and so many more will die.
Just throw yourself into the sun or something.
Right? He's like, you can do this on your own.
We don't have to do this. Let me help you.
Dude, he's broken. Have you not noticed?
I'll prove to you who I've become.
Oh, he's gonna take out the twins.
There's only one way to stop me. One way to end this forever.
What to do, Mark? Every episode this season, Mark's gotten his ass whooped. Every episode. I mean, this isn't really hurting him, but... Alright. Came a little easy there for you, didn't it, Mark? That doesn't really kill the immortal, though. Just put it back on.
I didn't know it was gonna be like that, but thank you.
He's like, we've gotten over it.
You gotta keep all his parts separated, or it'll just come back.
What's this now? Don't tell me they're AI.
Like, I know you're not happy, but you saved our world. Thank you.
But at the cost of his soul. I mean, that was a rock and a hard place, but there were other ways. Mark literally could have taken that guy to some place in the middle of nowhere and tied him into something that was so hard for him to get out of that he'd just stay there for the rest of his days. But that would be kind of cruel. And again, it's the immortal. He's not actually dead. I mean, you put his head back on, he'll be fine. So it's really like he's taking an extended nap.
There's just one more thing you need to do.
What? Where can I stash my clothes?
Hey.
Oh, gotcha. Time loop.
Eve, am I a good person?
Of course
You're
you are.
asking somebody else?
But it sounds like he was ready to go. I know that doesn't solve this, but we will get through it.
I'm
together.
sure you will. Yeah, this is great. This is definitely the right way to talk about it. Yay, finally, Nolan!
At this very moment, light years away, Alan the alien sits in a Viltrumite prison cell.
Yeah, how are you doing there, Alan? Pumping iron, I hope?
Alan the alien, lockdown.
Ooh!
Not out.
Okay, lockdown kind of sounded better on its own.
Convinced that his execution was justified for his betrayal of both Viltrum and Earth.
Deep.
Still, Alan persisted.
Thank you. I'm like, Alan better be conditioning while he's in there.
By his captor's attempts to execute him.
Oh! Oh! Thank goodness Alan's people put him through all this as a fetus. It's the amount of collateral damage for me.
They'll kill you too. So here's an idea. Let's break out of here before that happens.
Right?
No.
Why?
I'm not on your side. I'm not on anyone's side.
You need to pick one though, bro.
God, this
I
again.
abandoned
cannot
my
take this
son.
anymore.
No,
why did they
it's
not
good that
use
he's sitting with this.
crimes against
But let's
everyone
do
and-
something about it, Nolan.
Unbetray your family and help me, Mark, and whatever that other kid's name is stop the
Damn.
Empire.
That's right, they didn't name him.
From the darkness of space.
Uh-oh, here they come. Although, they could use this ship to escape. We lost a few people trying to execute one of the prisoners.
As he risks everything to save a former enemy and brand new friend who doesn't wish to be saved.
Don't save her. She don't wanna be saved.
Do you have anything to say in your defense?
I'm still better looking than you.
Let the ritual continue.
They're like, huh? Oh.
No hard feelings, right?
Hard. Very hard feelings. So many of them died accidentally because of you. Smart. Anyone else want to cause a little bit of a ruckus? How do we feel about a distraction, guys? Oh, oh, that was quick. I was about to say, I don't know how well they do against guns.
Yes, that's right.
Alan, why are you not going? You're sitting here watching the show?
Oh, now we're talking.
I kind of want to know. Hopefully Alan's not going to regret this. Oh, is this?
Who possesses the courage to dare free Battle Beast?
Oh, hey, Battle Beast. Haven't seen you in a minute. I thought it might be you.
Will there be opponents worthy of my strength?
Let's find out.
Viltrumites?
Oh man, yes. We definitely got them.
Okay.
How many?
3. Well, 2, because we don't want to fight Nolan.
There's like 3, but one's a pal, so hands off him. But the other 2?
We all know the stories of the great Nolan. The wars, the triumphs.
So part of this ritual is talking me to death? My God, hurry up. I mean, I know we don't want him to hurry up, but you know what I mean.
We should investigate his lineage in case the rot goes deeper.
I'm coming for your babies, Nolan. Wow, nothing to save your children, Nolan? Not one plea? Not that they'd listen.
And I'm sad you'll never understand.
Ooh, Nolan getting deep. Oh, neck biting. His face! Keep going!
Hey, Nolan! Any idea where you are? Nolan!
Nolan, for your kids. Come on, bro.
Man, you look terrible. Did you guys do this?
They did.
That's not very nice.
Stunned silence.
I will savor this. And if this conflict brings about...
It's gonna end so quick. Okay. Not bad. He's actually making him bleed.
So you're the special you-know-bin.
I mean, I don't like to brag.
He is a little special. Oh, yeah. Maybe having aim is good.
Sorry I ruined your execution, Nolan. Looks like I'm going first.
Are you really, Alan? You literally survived lasers. I feel like you might be faking a little.
Get away from him!
Period. Look at that, Nolan. It feels good to fight for something, doesn't it?
Did you get a haircut? You trim your mustache? Did you style your mustache? Get up.
Yikes, stop it. Okay. Dodge game on point. A little slow, though. Tag team, I'm about it. Not them moving in unison. Like, have they been practicing without us looking? Oh, damn. Can you breathe in space? I'm taking that as a no. Right? Let's not sit here and savor the victory. There's more of them. Battle Beast is not a joke. He's going toe-to-toe with a Viltrumite, yo. Although these Viltrumites look young, so maybe that's why. They're not gray like Nolan. So, the vacuum of space, guys. I really hope Battle Beast can survive space. He doesn't seem to care. Battle Beast is earning the name. He's earning the name, y'all. Volley! Ball! Hadouken! Damn. I don't think he's recovering from that.
Maybe he bailed, but then, what happened to that Viltrumite?
Oh, there he is. Well, let them keep going at it.
For someone who almost died, you recovered very quickly.
Did I?
Yes, I did. All thanks to you, buddy. Getting in there, saving my life.
Might have manipulated you.
Okay, maybe I let him work me over a little more than I had to.
He could have killed you.
Could have.
I just didn't want to watch you die.
Why?
We did time together in the big house. That makes us friends now.
Right. He's like, I'm sappy. Leave me alone.
For Debbie and Mark and that purple kid you told me about.
Purple kid.
And for me, apparently, just now. Maybe we can hotwire that fine-looking hunk of metal over there.
It's a good idea.
We don't need to worry. No reinforcements are coming.
There's not enough of them.
They can't.
Okay, I'm going to need a little more to go on then. An incomplete.
I was right. There's not enough of them.
There are fewer than 50 pure-blooded Viltrumites left in the universe.
And you just took 2 of them
This
down.
is the Empire's most closely guarded secret.
Nice.
It's also why we can beat them.
Thanks, Nolan. You did the right thing, pal. Doesn't quite excuse what you did on Earth, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. All right, guys. Well, that was another episode. And yeah, some interesting things going down there. I guess on the Mark side of things, it's kind of the continuing saga of him trying to decide exactly where his morale his morality lies as far as this whole when to kill, should he kill, why should he kill, does it make him a bad person, a good person. This theme has been pretty much the case since last season, which understandably, like when he crossed that irreversible line with Angstrom, he's really been trying to figure out what that means for him. Like, does that make him a bad person? Does he have to keep doing this? Does he, if he does do it, when is it justified? When is it not? And we see that in this particular case, he's brought to the future. We saw these characters back in the first episode of the season. We now know why they needed him or why they were doing what they were doing. So hilarious, the reference to the ink of the ink on the Declaration of Independence being magic or poison or whatever. Like, okay, we're going from old movie plots, but hey, I guess that's how desperate you get when you've been oppressed for hundreds of years. But anyways, we see that in the end, it was in fact immortal. I kind of picked up on the profile they gave us there when they were describing what was going on, that it must have been him or potentially another Viltrumite. But I'm like, a Viltrumite? There's no way that these guys would have been able to escape to get Mark. You know what I'm saying? Like, most of them are way too quick for that, but I digress. We find out that Mark in the future got sick because we still don't know, like there's a huge gap in information that we didn't get from the Immortal or from our storytellers about like why, because they said, obviously I understand the storytellers didn't know because this happened before they were born, but something happened for why Mark had to leave the Immortal in charge, right? And the storyteller said that at the beginning of the reign, there was no problem. Like there was none of the stuff that was going on now. It just got progressively worse. So my question is, why was Mark running Earth? Like, why was he doing that? So my guess is that the space that we didn't know, like the gaps we didn't get filled in, was that potentially Mark had to do something. Maybe he figured out a way to pretend he was taking care of Earth, or, you know, that he was running Earth in order to keep the Viltrumites from coming and doing something. And that's potentially what went down. I don't know, but it's interesting that Mark was in a position to tell the Immortal to run things while he was gone, right? And again, I don't know if run things means like literally rule the world versus just keep it safe from dangers and, you know, kind of keep it safe, you know, in a way that only Mark and possibly Adam Eve could do together, right? So don't know, but either way, that's what happened. And the Immortal was left for, he said it, centuries on end. People came, people went. He married a bunch of times. Life just kind of started to lose meaning for him. And he was kind of like, I am done. Like, I'm ready to like not be alive anymore. And I can't even do that because this weight has been put on my shoulders. And he just basically snapped, right? There's no other word for it because as Mark said, the Immortal could have done something. Well, actually, I guess it's kind of hard. It's like Mark is like, throw yourself into the sun, but he's like, I can't do that. And I guess it wouldn't work either because even if he did burn up to a certain extent, he probably would just drift away from the sun and start healing again. I don't know. But either way, he snapped and he just basically said he started doing all this horrible stuff to humanity because he knew at some point it would, the word would get out some way or another to get Mark to come back there. And like he said, he even knew about the time machine that was being built, but he didn't interfere with it because he thought if that's what it takes to get Mark back, then so be it. So the part that doesn't make sense is that it wasn't his Mark, and Mark kept trying to tell him that. It's like, whatever Mark you saw is not the Mark that I am. So as I said in the episode, I don't think, even though it's the future these two came from, I believe it's an alternate timeline. I don't think it's the same one because, you know what I'm saying? Like if he doesn't remember that Mark, like first of all, he doesn't know who the team members of the Guardians are from the sounds of things. He doesn't remember, he didn't remember Kate. And I mean, I don't know how it works for the Immortal. Like maybe he does start to forget things after things have happened a long time ago, but I just don't think he would have forgotten Kate if she was even a part of his world. So the fact that that didn't happen and it looks like that whole group didn't happen, etc., it tells me that we're probably in an alternate timeline here, and this Mark potentially was a Viltrumite who took over, right? Because we already know that in so many different dimensions and timelines, Mark did in fact take over the planet. So, but it sounds like he wasn't being horrible to the people though. It sounds like he maybe wasn't the worst of the Viltrumite rulers and when he took over, but we don't know. This is a lot of speculation on my part, but anyways, all of that to say, the Immortal wanted Mark to do him the service of ending him because he was tired of this, and he basically said the only way that everything that's happening could stop is if he was gone, and that's really not true. There definitely could have been ways around it, but it was pretty clear that the Immortal had snapped a long time ago, and he just felt that he wanted it to end like this. This was the bottom line. He wanted to be done with life, and the only person he could think of that could do that was Mark. And so, yeah, he put Mark in a pretty hard position. I'm not going to say impossible because Mark still could have found a way around it. It just would have taken more time It would have taken more effort. It would have meant he would have had to stay in the future longer. And he didn't want to do any of those things. And so he took the option that was easier for him and for the people that were there, presumably. But I mean, if we were going to get into the nitty gritty of it and the deepness of it, it's actually a bit of a mess. When you've had someone who's been solely running as a dictator for hundreds of years, Earth is not going to just be able to pick itself up after a day. Like there's things need to be done. There needs to be things implemented. They need help. But you know what? In the end, at least they're not being oppressed by robots anymore, right? So anyway, point being, that happened. Mark did it, and we see that he is not happy about it, which is good. And we see that, of course, his captors slash desperate twins there, they basically were like trying to tell him, hey, don't feel too bad. You know, don't be too hard on yourself. This had to happen. He wanted it, blah, 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 giving all these justifications. But Mark was like, still though, like it's still wrong. And it's exactly what I was saying last season, is that I don't want Mark to lose the gravitas of life taking, even if it is a situation where it was a very a hard rock and a hard place decision, where it was very, very difficult, where the other option was so out there or hard and bad that doing it was, the better of the evils. I still need him to understand and carry a bit of that weight of, ooh, that wasn't a good thing though. There should have been another way. There was another way. I could have explored another way. I didn't, and it wasn't. There's negative repercussions to that. As I talked about ad nauseum already, there's something that's taken from you every time you take a life, and I don't want Mark to lose that. I don't want him to desensitize that part of himself. So I'm okay with him feeling some type of way about it. I don't want him to, again, I don't want him to sit there and be broody about it forever, but I do want him to have that weight of that decision every time that choice is presented, and I don't want it to become the norm. Right? That's the point. Like, let's not have Mark just always think, well, I can justify a way why I'm taking people out, right? Because that's the way you eventually lose your sensitivity or sense of morality around life. And we don't want that with someone as powerful as Mark, especially now that his little brother is looking at him as an example of how to be. So anyway, that happened. Obviously not great. Went back, and we see that he's questioning whether or not he's a good or a bad guy. And, obviously Eve told him that he's not. I don't 100% agree with the way she kind of just said, don't worry about it. I'll keep you in check. But, like I said, he needs some grounded people to talk to about this. I do hope he talks to his mom as well, because I feel like she has a much more grounded viewpoint on this, and one that's not colored with the lens of, well, we're supers and things happen. Because yes, it's true. It's a different set of rules and circumstances for Mark and people like Eve who have powers, but it doesn't take away from the fact that they are effectively raised as human and they're dealing with humans. And they just need that reminder, right? So that there doesn't become this separation of, oh, because we're like this, we get these special rules. Because that's exactly the type of mentality that eventually spins into, evil overlord territory and the like, right? So anyway, so that was pretty much Mark. And outside of that, Mark, of course, tore up the Pentagon again, because like I said, the kid's just been throwing temper tantrums since the beginning of the season. And he basically is like, hey, Cecil, you must be the one who made this. And Cecil's like, nah, fam, like I wouldn't get caught if I was watching you, which is so true. I'm like, Mark should know by now that how many times has Cecil put one over on you for you to know that he'd never be sloppy enough to get caught like that. But again, Mark is a little bit, he needs some time to just process things right now. But anyways, so basically he left it there, and like Cecil's like, look, instead of busting in here, you could have come in and talked to me. And I like that he showed that he does still have that sound on lock. I said that last episode, that Cecil's got that sound in multiple places. But anyway, basically they said they're going to investigate where it came from, because even though it's not their tech, he's like, let's find out what it is and who's doing it, because Cecil never gives up the opportunity to learn and do better. And so I don't think he's going to trace it back to Angstrom, but they're probably going to see what they can do to possibly mimic what's in there if they don't already have it, which is kind of crazy. So I'm like, Mark, you didn't think that through, but I get it though. Mark also wants the people at Cecil's, his science people, to take a look at it and possibly give him some information, because even if Cecil's people don't figure it out, maybe Mark and Rudy can figure it out, right? So that was pretty much all with Mark. And then we had finally some Nolan and Alan. I was waiting on seeing some more of Nolan. I'm much invested in this kind of character development that's happening with Nolan. Season 1, we kind of started it with, him breaking off and leaving Mark instead of, doing what he was taught to do. And then, season 2, we didn't really get a lot of development with Nolan outside of seeing that he is clearly lost. But now we're starting to see the breakthrough of him really making a decision to lean into the fact that he has in fact changed, that he's not the same person that he was when he first went to Earth. But more importantly, I mean, I've said this even last season, is that I don't think Nolan was ever fully that person. But when you live in an environment that's been teaching you that a certain way of life and a certain way of being is the only way, and it was quite oppressive, if we're being real, like we saw what happened on Viltrum, you didn't have a lot of choices as far as how to believe and what to think. But that doesn't mean that that can change who you fundamentally are. And that's why you'll see people who grow up in environments where everyone, for the most part, follows the rules, and it's very difficult to break away from that. But you'll still get that one rare person that'll pop up, you know, one in every, I don't know, 100,000, that will just, despite everything, that their core self will not allow them to just bend to what's going on around them. They'll know that it's wrong intrinsically, and they'll find little ways to fight if they can. And so with Nolan, I think he wasn't really given the space to really do his resistance in the past, but being on Earth, having a wife like Debbie, raising a child that was so different than what he's used to, being surrounded by people he cared about, all those things changed him in the sense of allowing him to see what it would be like if he actually entertained who that person was deep down the whole time, right? And that's my belief system. Obviously, some people might think that Nolan actually was always, you know, maybe he was 100% over there and then he's changed. But I think that there was something of that in him all along, but it had never been fostered or allowed to grow. And that's what those years on Earth allowed for Nolan to do for the first time in his life. And he was going through that identity crisis last season, right? He didn't know how to deal with that, how much of it was real, how much of it was a delusion, how much of it was him running away from his true destiny, you know, all those things. But since he's been back around his people, Nolan's had numerous opportunities to go back to the fold. We saw was it Krieg, I think it was, from last season, was effectively begging Nolan to come back into the fold. And we know why, right? My theory was correct that there's not enough Viltrumites. They can't afford to lose one of their biggest and strongest at this point. So he doesn't want to kill Nolan. That's why they kept coming and beating his ass every other month, because they were hoping that force or fear would bring him back into the fold, because that's how they teach, right? That's the way they created this weird race that they've got going on now, through force and fear. But it wasn't working because Nolan has fundamentally changed. And I think what the time in the prison gave Nolan, and you know, that time when he was literally just by himself with his thoughts, with the opportunity to go back to the life that he had, not having to face the consequences of what happened on Earth, all those things, it gave Nolan a real chance to recognize how he felt, like how he truly felt about the life that he led prior as a Viltrumite versus the life that he had on Earth. The life he's had on Earth is only a fraction of what Nolan has experienced, right? By comparison, it shouldn't be much, but it's been the most impactful, clearly. And the idea of going back to living the way he would have to go back to the Viltrumite way, he recognized deep down, he'd rather die. And that's why he accepted his fate. You know, he accepted the fact that he was supposed to be killed. It wasn't because he genuinely thought, oh, it's because I betrayed Viltrum, right? I mean, I do believe that bothered him, don't get me wrong. Like, you can't be in a cult that long and not feel something there. I do think he felt guilt towards Earth. He definitely felt guilt towards his family. But genuinely, I think he just thought, well, I can't go back to Earth because they hate me there, and I don't want to live like a Viltrumite anymore. So if death is the only way out of this conundrum, then that's what I'll take. And thankfully, Alan's not that diabolical, but Alan sensed that there was something in Nolan. Like, he figured, like, dude, the fact that you're here, that they're here, and you've been back with your people, and they've given you the opportunity to basically, you know, turn everything around. And the fact that the thoughts that you're giving me are all around guilt and remorse and, you know, just defeat, that tells me that you're not the kind of person that I need to be worried about. That tells me you're the kind of person that I should be working to save, right? So thankfully, Alan's persistence, and again, just the fact that he's just so golly gosh gee whiz, it's kind of hard to hate on Alan, let's be real. Like, he's not necessarily someone you have to love, but it's kind of hard to hate this guy, right? And so his persistence and his bringing up constantly that, like, Nolan, you say, at first he didn't get anything but a no out of Nolan, but we see eventually he got him to finally admit that he actually misses Debbie. He misses that life. He misses the feelings that he had with her, right? So that was the start. That was the spark that Alan needed to continue to stoke in him. Like, okay, that's somewhere, right? You still care about them. They're still there. Your sons are still there. These are people that even if you think your life is forfeit, what about theirs? You need to fight for that. That's what you do. Like, will you ever be able to fully atone for what you've done? Probably not. But a good step in that direction is doing what you can to facilitate helping other people so they don't have to suffer the same fate, right? You may never be able to return to Earth and hang, but at least you can help them be able to live a life. Like, that's the best gift you can give to Debbie, to Mark, and well, we'll have to see with Oliver. But you know what I'm saying? And I just mean that Earth's not really Oliver's home. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. So that was basically what Alan got to stoke. And we see that it was affecting Nolan, even if he was being stubborn. And then in the end, we see with that bumbling escape attempt that Alan did, that he finally figured out that, okay, if there is anything in Nolan, then let me try and see if I can pull it out. And like, you know, when he started letting that Viltrumite work him over, I was like, I know Alan is not like super strong, but we already know it's like, nah, he can take on this Viltrumite. I really do think, like, if he made him bleed with the first punch, this is not, you know, it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. But he realized that Nolan right now is not about self-preservation, right? That's not what's motivating him at the moment. It's protecting what he cares about. And that's new for Nolan because he's never had to protect what he loved before. And so even though he doesn't love Alan per se, it was more the idea that he had become attached to Alan, right? He's never admitted, but he has become attached to Alan. So that's something he cares about. And Alan represents for him now the things that he does care about, right? Alan, who keeps bringing up his family, his wife, his children, like that's something, that representative, that's what Nolan was looking at when he was seeing it getting beaten to death. And he didn't want that. So we see he had a reason to fight for something that wasn't just himself. And that's really the growth that we needed from Nolan. That's what Deb's been trying to pull out of him for so long, was like, think about something other than yourself. Think about something beyond what they've conditioned you to believe is important. You decide what's important to you, what's actually stirring you in here. And for Nolan, it's his family, right? For the first time ever, it's his family. So love that. Alan brought it out of him, and we see that Nolan, you know, and when he got outside, he was kind of like, wait a minute, like, now that I'm thinking about it, like, did you trick me? Did you actually, did I get had? And yeah, like Alan basically said, I needed to test. I wanted to see if it, you know, my theory is true, that there is some of the person who cares enough about his family to do something in there. Because we saw it last season, he killed, or attempted to, all those Viltrumites that tried to come for his family, right? Even though it didn't work out the way he wanted. So there is that spark in Nolan. It just needed to be stoked. And that's exactly what he said. Like, I saw the fire in there. I just needed to give it a little bit of fuel, and you took it from there, bro. Like, I didn't do anything else. So thanks to that, and showing Nolan, because remember, Nolan said, like, why would you do that? You have zero loyalty to me. You have no reason to save me. You have no reason to do all this. Why are you doing it? And he basically was like, because, like, I care. That's what people who care about each other do. Like, I care about you. I care about Mark. I care about Earth. And I don't think, because like, I don't want to see you die. It's like, if you want to still go off and do it now, I mean, that's you, but I didn't want to see you go down like that. So you can see, even though, again, Nolan would admit it, he was clearly touched by that sentiment. And that's because, you know, he's a guy who gets touched now. You know, he's a sentimental guy deep down. So anyway, that little establishment of trust and loyalty there, it's pushed Nolan to do something that really is now the point of no return, right? He's given up the deepest, darkest secret of the Viltrumites, which is that there's less than 50 of them that exist. So that is why they're so desperate to keep Nolan, why they're acting so desperately with Mark, why they're trying to, you know, because Mark is so much like them, they're trying to recruit him. The bottom line is, like Nolan said, if we work together, we can take them out. So now that this is out there, we can get allies, we can work. So good step forward. Now, I mean, what are we gonna do? I don't know where they are, but like they said, there's no reinforcements coming because they can't spare them to come out for them. So I guess it's potentially back to Earth and seeing what that information they can do. I mean, it can't just be Earth. Obviously, there's a ton of planets out there. I think that Alan needs to go back to his home planet, let them know that their experiment worked, and potentially to, I was gonna say create more, but maybe not, because then we might just have a new Viltrumite problem. I mean, the Nopians don't look, Unopians, sorry. They don't really seem like the people who would do that, but I'm sure people said that about Viltrum at one point. So anyway, I guess our plan now will be to disseminate this information to the right people. But of course, Nolan, Mark, Debbie reunion incoming. And I think that I'm looking forward potentially to a conversation like what would a conversation with Nolan, with Mark, now the Nolan that we see now who's changed, what kind of conversation could he have with Mark now that Mark has crossed into this territory that used to be a difference between him and his dad as far as taking life? And also, what could this mean for Oliver? Would Oliver listen to his dad if his dad tells him these things? Or is it gonna, you know, continue to spiral him into a feeling of like otherness, of like, why am I the only one? You know what I mean? So anyway, I'm looking forward to that reunion is all I'm saying. Don't know when it's gonna happen, but that was a really good part of the episode. I enjoyed that a lot. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching along with me. If you did, please show some love, and I will see you in the next one.